Ever feel like you're stuck in a communication black hole? Like every time you try to talk, it just makes things worse. Well, get this. Today, we're diving into a story about a parent dealing with that exact issue in their co-parenting relationship. And here's the kicker. They used AI to turn things around.
It's a remarkable story, really, especially when you consider the level of conflict they were facing. We've got two articles that'll help us unpack this whole thing. One goes into detail about the parents' personal journey using AI,
Okay.
and the other one from Forbes explores the technique they used. It's called multiple expert personas.
Okay, so before we get to the AI part, set the scene for me. How bad was this co-parenting situation?
Imagine, if you will, a relationship completely shattered by infidelity, accusations of abuse, even suicidal thoughts on one side.
Wow.
It ultimately ended in a police-enforced separation.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, communication about anything, let alone co-parenting, was like navigating a minefield.
Yeah, that's intense. It sounds like even a simple text about, like, picking up the kids could just blow up.
Exactly. But here's the thing. Despite all that personal turmoil, they still had a child to raise together.
Right.
They needed to find a way to communicate effectively, even if their personal relationship was, well, beyond repair.
So they turned to AI for help.
hmm
It's a pretty unconventional approach to family therapy.
It is. And it's not about replacing human interaction. It's about using AI as a tool to transform how they interacted. The parent decided to try something called multiple expert personas.
Okay.
Think of it as having a team of virtual experts right in your pocket, guiding you through every interaction.
Hold on. Back up for a sec. How does this multiple expert personas thing even work?
Imagine you're facing a tough decision. Instead of relying on just one opinion, you could consult with a panel of experts, right?
Right.
This technique does exactly that, virtually. You instruct the AI to simulate different experts in a certain field, psychology, finance, whatever's relevant, and then you just ask them questions. It's like tapping into a customized think tank.
So in this parent's case, who were the AI experts on their virtual team?
They chose three. First, a nonviolent communication coach. She was a 50-year-old woman with a very pragmatic, solution-oriented approach. Her background was in overcoming anxiety, so you can imagine her advice was very much about staying calm and finding practical solutions.
Makes sense. So did they just stick with one expert persona the whole time?
Nope. They also had a second nonviolent communication coach persona.
Oh,
This one, a 60-year-old man from the countryside.
okay.
He brought a sense of stability and calm to the table,
Got it.
which really resonated with the mother's rural upbringing.
Ah, so they had multiple personas who could connect with both parents on different levels. That's smart.
Exactly. And to round out the team, they added a psychologist persona, a 50-year-old male specializing in family therapy.
Okay.
His role was all about helping the parent recognize their own emotional patterns and set healthy boundaries.
Okay, I'm starting to get the picture. So let's say the other parent sends a message. Before hitting reply, this parent runs it by their AI dream team. What happens next?
Here's where the real magic happens. These AI personas analyze each incoming message, but they're not just looking at the words, they're digging deeper, trying to identify the emotional undercurrents. Is the parent feeling attacked, defensive, hurt?
So it's like the AI is reading between the lines,
Sure.
picking up on the emotions that might be fueling a potential conflict.
Precisely. And once they've identified those emotions, the AI personas step in, helping the parent articulate their own needs and desires clearly and respectfully, even when they're feeling angry or frustrated.
So it's almost like having an emotional translator, helping them communicate in a way that won't escalate the situation.
You got it.
Yeah.
It's about taking that raw emotion and channeling it into a message that's assertive but not aggressive, setting boundaries without resorting to attacks or blame.
That's pretty powerful. But this wasn't just a one-time fix, right? I'm guessing this was an ongoing process.
Absolutely. The goal was to fundamentally change how they communicated, not just, fix one conversation. And it worked. Over time, the parent experienced a significant shift. They went from these explosive, emotionally draining arguments to actual productive collaboration.
Wow, that's a huge transformation from constant conflict to actually being able to work together.
Yeah.
Imagine the weight lifted off their shoulders.
And not just that, the parent also reported a significant increase in self-awareness. They were better able to regulate their emotions. And that newfound sense of control had a ripple effect, empowering them in other areas of their life too.
So it wasn't just about fixing the communication with the other parent. It was about personal growth, too. That's really fascinating.
It is, and that brings us to the Forbes article,
Okay.
which dives into this multiple expert personas technique, highlighting how its potential extends far beyond, just co-parenting situations.
Okay, I'm definitely intrigued. So how does Forbes see this technology being used in other areas of life?
Well, the article, it's titled, "This Generative AI Prompting Technique Uses Multiple Expert Personas to Derive First-Class Answers."
Okay.
It explains that this approach can be applied to any field where you need diverse, nuanced perspectives. Imagine using it to tackle tough business decisions,
Right.
brainstorm creative projects, or even just work through, personal dilemmas.
I'm already thinking of how I could use this.
Yeah.
It's like having a personal board of advisors on call, ready to offer like insights from multiple angles.
Exactly. Think about it. Imagine trying to make a major life decision
Right.
or navigate a tricky work situation, and you could tap into the collective wisdom of multiple experts, all tailored to your specific needs. It could be game changing.
This is really making me rethink the possibilities of AI.
Yeah.
It's not just about automating tasks or crunching numbers anymore. It's about like augmenting our own capabilities.
Right.
And helping us navigate complexity in a more thoughtful, informed way.
And that's just the beginning. As these technologies become more accessible and sophisticated, I think we're going to see even more creative and impactful applications emerge.
Okay, I'm already hooked.
Yeah.
But before we get too carried away, I think we need to explore the potential downsides of this technology. Are there any risks or limitations we should be aware of?
Of course. Every technology comes with its own set of considerations.
Right.
And this one is no different. So let's delve into those after a quick break. Stay tuned.
Yeah, it's true. While the potential of multiple expert personas is super exciting, we do need to be aware of its limitations. One thing to think about is AI is only as good as the data it's trained on.
Right. So if the data is biased or incomplete, the AI's advice could be flawed too.
Exactly. It's like asking a panel of experts who've all been exposed to the same limited information. Their perspectives might be insightful, but they're still working within those constraints. Yeah, that makes sense. So how do we ensure that the AI is getting a well-rounded education, so to speak?
One solution is to use multiple AI systems trained on different data sets. That way you're getting a broader range of perspectives and reducing the risk of any single bias, dominating the conversation.
It's like diversifying your portfolio, but for information. You're spreading out the risk and getting a more balanced picture.
Exactly. And it's not just about the data itself, it's also about how the AI is designed and implemented. We need to be careful not to create systems that just reinforce existing biases or limit our own critical thinking.
So it's not about blindly following the AI's advice, but rather using it as a tool to enhance our own judgment and understanding.
Precisely. Think of it as a sounding board, a way to challenge your own assumptions and consider new perspectives. But ultimately, the decisions are still yours to make.
That brings up another question. This parent was using AI to navigate a really specific challenge, right? Co-parenting in a high conflict situation. But the Forbes article suggests this technique could be applied much more broadly. What are some other potential applications that you find particularly exciting?
Oh, the possibilities are truly vast. Imagine using it in education, for example. Students could have virtual tutors who provide personalized feedback and guidance tailored to their individual learning styles.
That would be amazing. And it could be like incredibly helpful for students who might not have access to one-on-one support. What about in the workplace?
Think about team projects or brainstorming sessions. Multiple expert personas could help teams generate more creative ideas and come up with innovative solutions by providing diverse viewpoints and challenging, conventional thinking.
I can see that being particularly valuable for companies that are trying to foster a more inclusive and collaborative culture. It could level the playing field and ensure that everyone's voice is heard.
Absolutely. And what about using it for personal growth? Imagine having virtual mentors who can help you identify your strengths and weaknesses, set goals, and overcome obstacles.
That's a really interesting idea. It could be incredibly empowering to have that kind of personalized support system available to you, especially if you're facing a challenging transition or trying to achieve a major life goal.
And it's not just about individual growth. This technology could also be used to facilitate communication and understanding on a societal level. Imagine using multiple expert personas to mediate conflicts, bridge cultural divides, or foster empathy and understanding between people with different perspectives.
That's a really powerful idea.
Mm.
If we could use AI to help people see the world through each other's eyes, maybe we could create a more compassionate and understanding society.
Exactly. It's about using technology to amplify our humanity, not replace it.
This has been such an eye-opening conversation. We've covered so much ground, and I feel like we've only just scratched the surface. But I know our listeners are eager to hear that final provocative thought, the one that will stay with them long after this deep dive is over.
All right, let's hear it. What's the big question we're leaving our listeners with today?
Well, we've talked about AI's potential to transform communication,
Mhm.
decision-making, even personal growth. But what about its impact on our sense of self? If if we're constantly interacting with AI systems that are tailored to our preferences and biases, could it lead to a narrowing of our perspectives and a diminished sense of individuality?
Wow. That's a really thought-provoking question. It challenges us to consider not just the practical implications of AI, but also its deeper philosophical and psychological impact.
Exactly. As AI becomes more integrated into our lives, it's crucial that we reflect on how it's shaping not just our world, but also who we are as individuals.
And that's a conversation that we need to keep having.
On that note, I think it's time to wrap up this episode. But remember, the conversation doesn't end here. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.
It really is a fascinating question. Could AI designed to cater to our preferences actually lead to a less diverse sense of self?
Right. Like on the one hand, AI could help us become more self-aware, by showing us our own biases and patterns.
Right.
But on the other hand, what if we're only exposed to information that agrees with our existing beliefs? It's like creating an echo chamber of our own thoughts.
Yeah, that's a great point. And it makes you think about the role of discomfort and challenge in how we grow as people. We need to be pushed outside our comfort zones, exposed to different viewpoints, even if they make us uncomfortable. That's how we learn and evolve.
So in a world that's increasingly personalized by AI, how do we make sure we're still getting those unexpected viewpoints?
I think that's where conscious effort comes in. We can't just passively take in whatever the AI gives us. We have to actively look for diverse perspectives, talk to people who challenge our thinking, and be willing to question our own assumptions.
It's like we need to be more intentional about what we're feeding our minds,
Yeah,
like curating our own intellectual diets.
exactly. And that might mean choosing to look at information we disagree with or that makes us uncomfortable. It's about being okay with the friction that comes from encountering different viewpoints.
I love that. Embracing the friction.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the one thing you really hope our listeners take away from this conversation?
For me, it's this. AI has amazing potential to improve our lives in so many ways, but it's a tool, not a solution. We can't just hand over control to algorithms and expect everything to work out perfectly.
We have to use AI thoughtfully, always remembering that we're the ones in control.
Exactly. We need to be critical thinkers, be careful about the information we consume, and actively shape the future we want. And maybe, just maybe, AI can help us do that.
Well said. And on that note, we've reached the end of our deep dive. But the conversation doesn't stop here. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.